In a world where our friends call us not us united and our enemies call us midnight rain, two dudes must learn to podcast as the Fremen do in order to survive the desert planet of endless content. We don't care how many enemies we have. They'll never be prepared for us. Not us united. Michael.
Yes.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to review a movie about Tom Cruise doing Tom Cruise things. And if you do, and you fail, you will be disavowed.
Oh my God.
And our government will tell you that you never existed.
The Not Us United government is coming after me.
That's right.
Nick, I'm confused because we did a whole Tom Cruise draft last week.
True, we did. But, I don't know, much like America, can we ever really get enough Tom Cruise?
The box office, I actually don't know what the box office of this is, actually.
The box office is clear. It's at, we haven't figured it out.
Well, I haven't figured it out. But, based off Maverick,
Yeah.
the man that saved cinema, Tom Cruise is back.
He is.
With another mission. And also, by the way, I choose to accept this.
Oh, okay, good.
Good.
I'm about to self-destruct.
That would have been. Oh my gosh, he's blowing up. Oh, there's confetti.
And we're demonetized.
On this episode of Not Us United, two men talk about a movie, and this time there's a bomb.
That's right. Here's the question: will this review be faster than Tom Cruise running?
Impossible. No, that's the most impossible thing that's going to happen.
Is possible.
Improbable.
With us, the IMF.
Not. Oh, dang it.
Not Us United.
Not us. That's what the IMF stands for.
That is. Yep.
Yeah. Well, if you haven't gotten from our cleverly written intro that we definitely wrote a week before recording this and did not think about,
on Nicholas Sparks, The Notebook.
Yep. So what I thought about Ryan Gosling in this movie, we're reviewing Mission Impossible 7?
7, Part
1. And they are
Dead
not
reckoning.
shy about that Part 1.
No.
They're like, we know. We're going to tell you it's a Part 1.
Oh, yeah. Just like Dune.
Yeah.
Just like, well, not like the certain Spider-Man movie
Aforementioned.
that we watched.
Man with Webs.
Man with Webs. A lot of Part 1s, man. A lot of
It's
Part
back,
1s.
dude. I was thinking about that. You made Fast X 2 as a Part 1, I think?
Of course it was. Of like 3, maybe.
Sure. But because there's two lines in an X. So you gotta.
This world is crazy.
Well, there was the phase of like YA Part 1s, Part 2s, the Harry Potter and Twilight and all that.
That's fair.
So now it's back. Now the adults can do it.
Sometimes it's justified. Sometimes Part 1 really means it should have just been like a longer movie.
Yeah.
And not necessarily 2 full movies.
Sure. I think we've seen a good example of it in Spider-Verse.
Sure.
In Dune. And I think we saw this movie as well. And,
Yeah. I think there's some bloat to this movie
Uh-huh.
that tried to fill its time so that there could be a Part 2.
Sure.
So I have some thoughts.
I also, as a member of this podcast, have some thoughts.
I think for a quick spoiler-free review, though, I will put an asterisk next to mine that says maybe Part 2 pops off and the setup of 1 was totally worth it.
Yeah.
But here's what I would give it right now. And
I
we
agree.
can review it a year from now when the second one comes out.
I think there's
How
an
do you feel
as
about
is. This is very, very different from our Spider-Verse, where it's like, I think this movie, Spider-Verse, is fantastic. Even kind of on its own. I enjoy it a lot. Where this one's like, oh,
yeah. There was a full movie's plot in Across the Spider-Verse with a big setup for what could happen in the next one. I think with Mission Impossible, it very much is. I think you did this with Dune, though, too, where you're like, I can't really grade this until I see Part 2 because it's just going to rely so heavily on what happens
I feel
next.
like, oh man, it's tough because I think, and this can be, I guess, more spoilery, but I think Dune and Spider-Verse earned their part twos. I don't think Mission Impossible did.
That's fair. I see what you're saying.
So, and that being said, a non-spoiler review, I enjoyed this movie.
Yep.
I thought it was fun. I think coming into it, I mentioned last week on our Tom Cruise draft, most of the Mission Impossibles really blend together for me. Mm-hmm. I remember just like few scenes. Mm-hmm. And I think Fallout prior to this movie was my favorite.
Yep.
And it's continued to be my favorite.
Yep.
Yeah, like that little sting I got there.
I respect.
I wanted to put people on the edge of their seats.
There you go.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly with where you're at. I have a personal favorite of Mission Impossible 3, but I do think that Fallout is the best.
Mm-hmm. Like objectively.
Just the best movie that Mission Impossible has done. But 3, just the villain and just it was awesome. But I agree. 6 is still the best, even after seeing 7 Part 1.
Yeah. I would say I haven't seen 2 or 3.
But
as I've watched the Mission Impossible movies, they just keep getting better.
Which is surprising.
So I think my ranking of the ones I've seen is like lowest to highest. It just goes in ascending order. Mm-hmm. Except for this one. You know, it kind of broke the streak for me where I thought each Mission Impossible movie was getting better. Mm-hmm. This one went down. It wasn't like, it's not a bad movie.
Oh, no.
It's just like, oh, it's good.
Yep.
It's good. And it's like, it's hard because I think it's done. It's a very well done movie. Mm-hmm. I think they really go and like film in location, and it doesn't feel like you're in like this box.
Sure.
Of like, oh, this green screen. It feels like you're like in this area, and it's real, and the movie magic.
It's as practical as it can be. I feel like. Yeah.
And Tom Cruise thinks movies are real, and I think he's living it in the movie.
Dude. 100%. Yeah, I think. Oh man, it's hard not to talk about spoilers because there's just some really good stuff in this. But I would say, visually, aesthetically, there were some really neat shots in this film. I think some of the choreography is really good as well. I just think a lot of... So I watched Rogue Nation this past week. It just felt tighter. Just felt like the tension was a little more constant. I've read some reviews about Dead Reckoning Part 1, and they felt like it was really tense the whole time, and I felt like my time in the theater, there were just a lot of scenes that were like a minute or two longer that like kind of took the tension out for me, or maybe because I knew it was a part 1, I just knew things weren't going to be resolved, whereas in all the other ones, I knew it had to come to a head at some point. And so I just felt like this movie kind of suffered in that, like, I almost would have rathered it just would have been called Mission Impossible 7 Dead Reckoning, and then the stinger at the end was it's a part 1.
Yeah. I think it's a great point, and I guess we're saying it's a part 1. I mean, in the first 20 minutes, there's a title sequence, and it flat out says, hey, part 1. So I think I agree with you where knowing that we are going to be left somewhere in the middle of this journey, I knew where that end was probably going to be. Like, there's a point where someone says it, and I'm like, oh, that's where the movie is going to end. And that's exactly where the movie ended. Sure. And... there's gonna be some kind of unfinished business. There's gonna be something like, oh, our heroes are like, not, the mission isn't over yet. Sure. And so it just felt like you could see the writing on the wall where everything was going. I will say I thought moments were tense. I think it's just a well crafted movie.
The villain in particular too.
Villain's good. There's good action set pieces. It's filmed very well.
Yeah.
I just think story wise, it is, I was joking, as we're getting to the movies, it's like, oh, most Mission Impossible movies are just like, get a key to a box and make sure the bad guy doesn't open the box. I'm like, that was literally what this movie was.
The MacGuffin of it all was kind of silly, but, I mean, I think what I will say is all the other Mission Impossibles had naturally like funny beats that just kind of existed in a very tense spy thriller movie. And this one felt like it actually tried to go out of its way to be like, here's funny scene, here's ridiculous scene, here's crazy stunt scene, and it didn't quite blend as seamlessly like into it. I also know there were just like some things going on in this movie. This was like the big Tom Cruise yells at the entire cast to like
COVID
save cinema during COVID time, because that was when they were like filming this and stuff, and the importance of like wearing masks and whatever during that time, because if they got shut down, then this movie could like bomb and cinema might be over. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but and so I just think there was like a little bit of a different vibe in this one. I still think it's probably, I would say like Fallout 3, and then I'd probably go Rogue Nation, then I'd go Dead Reckoning. Like I think it's still my top 4.
Yeah.
I'm not as fond of Ghost Protocol as some are. I think it has some really cool stuff in it, but I really like the last 3.
I agree.
So I think they've done a good job. So
I think I do like Ghost Protocol more than
Dead
this.
Reckoning.
I just think I think the part 1 does bug me in this instance.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't feel like, and again, it's what I say with every single part 1. It's like it's hard to grade it without the second one, but I don't feel like this one was a part 1, or like needed a part 2. Like I think you trim some stuff. And you cut out 30 minutes, and you add the 30 minutes of your resolution.
No, I agree. I think they could have totally done this in the 3 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe even make it 3 hours. I think it was like 2:45.
Yeah, it was just a
long
long movie.
If you had 15 minutes and you cut some of the stuff that was in this movie, I think you could just have a Dead Reckoning movie.
So to me, that's what brings it down. I think if it was resolved at the end, I would probably rate it higher and have enjoyed it.
Yeah. Because this villain's truly terrifying.
I think it's a good villain.
And the tension that the villain causes throughout the film is palpable.
Yeah.
When it is happening. But then there are times where you're just like, oh wait, we have to like do some other side thing that we're doing, and
Well, before we get into spoilers, I want you only have 2 choices.
Oh, should I choose to accept it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is this a Tom Cruise or a Tom Snooze?
Oh jeez. Dang it. Walked right into that.
Yes. I got him. Mission.
I think there are worse Tom Cruise movies, so I'm going to still say that this is a Tom Cruise.
This is definitely a Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
It's not The Mummy.
Totally fine. R.I.P.
But otherwise, what number would you give?
I would say I'm at a tentative 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
With hopes that something just miraculous happens in part 2 that makes 1 feel like it was worth going 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to what we get in part 2.
Yeah. It's hard for me to be like, oh, I'm coming back to this and I want to see this movie again.
Yeah, I don't really feel like the rest of them have always felt like, oh, I could throw that on in the background and I'll just like enjoy it. This one I don't particularly see me like owning and trying just to be like, you know what I'm feeling? Dead Reckoning Part 1,
or
let's
like
get it.
recommending to friends. Like I saw it and I'm like, I came and like, went to work the next day and was like, oh, you don't really have to see it.
No. If I see part 2 and it's just for some reason crazy, and honestly, if it just feels like, hey, you need to know what happens in part 1 to know what happens in part 2, then I would, because part 2 is like worth watching. But this would be the first one that I'd be like, nah.
Yeah,
They are kind of an anthology series, even though it's still Ethan Hunt.
Yeah, I feel like, and the lore is just so wacky.
They'll tie in. I mean, this movie in particular,
so,
I think, even
vague.
creates a flashback that didn't actually happen in the movies.
But even then, as it's happened, I'm like, have I seen this before? I don't really care. It's in this movie.
No, I think it was purposely created as a flashback prior to all of it. So
I think so too. But yeah, I think I'm right there with you. The 6. It's just like, it's fine. It's hard to say that it's fine too, because it's like, it is just expertly done,
Yeah.
and there's some great stunt scenes. It just feels like we had a little bit of Simon Pegg that wasn't really there. I think like there's certain characters that don't feel like they need to be in it, and they're
Right.
written because of
100%.
circumstances
Yep.
or who knows, and just things could be streamlined. But I also just don't find myself wanting to go back to it. And so
Yeah.
I enjoy
think
the
that's
other
why
ones
it
more.
knocks
Like
it
I'm
down.
like I think I like Ghost Protocol more than this one. I like Fallout. I like Rogue Nation. All those ones are like, oh, those are better movies.
Yeah.
And I think it is because of the bloated.
Yeah, they're just
form
more
of-
satisfying
Yeah.
to watch and
Yeah.
finish, and yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, let's get into it, because maybe, like I said, maybe part 2 is gonna be awesome, and it'll all be worth it.
Maybe it will be.
Let's jump into spoilers though, because let's talk about the highlights, because I think there are like, arguably, I think this might be one of the best villains
In the series?
of the Mission Impossible series,
Maybe besides Henry Cavill.
and maybe even better than him.
Are you talking about Gabriel or are you talking about the AI?
The AI.
Yeah, okay.
So there's this entity. I mean, it's Tom Cruise, like, meta narrative of like AI is going to ruin our world.
Just crazy to write during COVID,
Yeah.
where it's like now
Yeah,
it's
he's
now
out of
it's
the time.
relevant.
So like,
yeah.
congrats.
Because he can see the future.
Right. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
I forgot about that power.
Whenever he drinks the blood of the innocent, he can see the future.
Jeez.
That's how he's 61 years old and can run.
He can
As
run
he
very
does.
fast still. Yes. I love that. I mean, it unfortunately led to some of like my least favorite techie gadgety moments of Mission Impossible, because with the AI being able to control anything remotely, they had to kind of go back to like bare bones.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, they didn't do it in like a clever, creative way. Like they could have like gone to old tech that like
They're just kind of like
IMF.
we're doing a different satellite.
They're just like, no, you're just on a motorcycle and your comms are analog. Okay, cool.
So it's like the same thing.
Okay, got it. So like nothing really changed. It just kind of took Benji out of the movie,
Yeah.
and then, what's his face? What's the other guy's name
Vince?
in
No.
in real life? I know
Oh.
that's what his real life name is, but what's God? Why can't I think of his name?
You got
The Ethan.
Ethan.
Why can't I think of it?
Vin Rames? Is that it?
I think that's his name in real life, yes,
Oh.
but I don't know what mission. Come on,
His name's Guy in a Hat.
guy in his head. Luther. Duh.
Luther.
Yeah. Like they get some cool like early on stuff, but
Yeah, they
it
definitely wane off near the end.
Yeah, and so I was kind of disappointed that they didn't like.
Have
Hey, instead of you guys not being able to use computers, what if you were like, I don't know, field agents and like just did something
you had
to
to like
fight
do
against
hand
the
signals or something, or
yeah.
like something different than like your glasses don't work. Here's different glasses.
Sure. Yeah.
Or like it's,
I just think that could have been handled better, because this villain is terrifying. But I guess if you just get rid of all devices, then the entity like doesn't feel like it's present at all times. And that was really cool, because you didn't know who you were like talking to. If somebody was already compromised, it was
Yeah.
kind of cool to see that there was like human sympathizers for this thing, because it's like it knows calculations beyond anything we can imagine, so it'll always make the right choice or something. So like I kind of get the fanatical, so I kind of like that. I just wish it would have. There were moments of this movie where I felt like.
I forgot that it existed for a while.
Yeah, and so it was like, man, this thing is terrifying. This is an absolutely like
Unstoppable. It was like-
haunting.
yeah.
Like it's right behind you. It can sense everything. And then it was like, but we have to set up another character, so forget about it for 15 minutes.
Well, and and it's not. Yeah, just have another character and be like, oh, here's a human thing you can
Yeah.
fight against.
Yeah.
Because a computer is hard to like visualize as an enemy.
Yeah, and I was telling you this before the podcast. I have a conspiracy that I'd like to look into it because maybe I'm totally like right and it's already been written and I just didn't know. I don't think Rebecca Ferguson was like able to stay during the shooting of this film because it feels like Haley
She's been in it for 10
Atwell
minutes.
didn't need to be in this movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like in some ways could have just been like Ethan trying to find Ilsa the whole time
Mm-hmm.
and like understanding why she was grabbing the key. But they made that like a really quick scene and then they trained this thief lady to just be part of the IMF. At this point, I don't think we needed to set up another character.
Right.
I don't know if it was because they knew they were going to kill Ilsa like at the end anyway, but with her being off screen so much and then having like a fight and she said like two lines of dialogue, to me it really took a lot of the is it brevity? Is that the
Sure. They earned like the impact,
it didn't take
the momentum.
Yeah, like I really loved what she's done the last few movies. Obviously, she's in Dune, so clearly I have, feelings.
Benny Jesse.
But yeah, she's a Bene Gesserit. Come on. But
it felt like she, for some reason, had conflicting
Something
issues,
happened.
scheduling issues, and it's like, okay, so here are the scenes surrounding
Yeah.
you. We needed you in this scene, so let's get this other person
right,
to fulfill this role.
yeah, because we can't continue part 2 without having at least a female on our team, and it's like, I don't know. I think I would have rather it just been the 3 dudes grieving the loss of like, dude, we messed up big. Like we let this girl die because I was following Benji in my head and it led me too far away. And that's how terrifying the AI is. Because I think she was always going to die in that scene, but they just like wrote in, it's like, one of these women have to die. You get to make the choice. It's like, well, is it going to be the woman I met 5 minutes ago, or is it going to be like my literal love interest for the last 5 years? And they like,
And they
of
have like
course,
the flashback scene of like all like
it's like,
the
I
women in
care
your
about
life.
all the women in my life, and
The one that was maybe my wife before
Yeah.
I met Mission Impossible, and then my Rebecca Ferguson, and then
yeah, it doesn't
the
even
one I
mention
met today.
like all the other love interests he
Yeah.
had, and his actual wife.
Yeah.
That was like canonically his wife for like 3 movies or whatever. So it was a weird handling of like the love interest, and that makes me wonder if it wasn't originally written that way and it kind of got puzzle pieced together. Because it was kind of jarring to be like, we don't really need to. This isn't the movie you set up another new trainee. This is the movie where it's like, hey, Ethan, you finally met your match. This is the like,
You need
know,
the A team.
they're saying, like I've read in some reviews that like the AI can very much be seen as the anti-Ethan Hunt.
Sure.
It's cold. It's logical.
It never goes
It's
rogue.
not trying to. It's not trying to. It's not thinking about anybody but itself, and that's Ethan's biggest dilemma. Is like, I never want any of my teams to die again. No one should go into this mission. It's like, yeah, but you asked us to, and he's like, I know, but I should just go by myself. So, anyway, I love the villain. I love Rebecca Ferguson, and I'm pissed.
And that's why it's a 6 out of 10.
No. And it's like, hey, Peggy Carter, this is sick.
good on her,
Like,
you know?
this is awesome. But
It just felt
I just
like
didn't feel like that was needed.
And there were moments in like the movie where like she just kept running. Like she has the key and she like and then Ethan like helps her and then she's like, "Cool, see ya." And it's like, can you like stop for a second? Like
Yeah.
why are you still running?
Yeah, we didn't understand her motivations enough. And they're like, well, she's an orphan. It's like, okay, I get it. She's Catwoman, whatever. But it's like,
Yeah. Because in the end, it's like,
Why?
Oh, I was the reason that she died. I'm like, yeah, kinda, because you just kept running away.
yeah. And so it just kind of sucked because it very much felt like, I don't think that this was originally written. And if we could just cut out every scene with Haley Atwell in it, and maybe you put Rebecca Ferguson in it for some of them, but like, you could just save like 30 minutes, and then you could plug in whatever you think you need to finish this movie. Because I don't know if you need another 2 hours and 45 minutes.
The only
Unless
reason
it's
you
going to
need
be
to go to
another
the
big
sub
showdown.
is because you need to go to the sub.
Yeah, so now it'll be
you're
like a
writing
treasure
yourself
hunt
into
or
that
whatever.
corner.
Yeah. and then Gabriel will probably have to have like a showdown. So like it just feels like we're gonna watch another almost 3-hour movie to handle one fight scene and to get to the one MacGuffin.
Yeah.
But there will be a bunch of stunts and things to get us there. And I want to be really careful about criticizing this movie because I understand that most Mission Impossible movies have always been
Right.
get to the MacGuffin, fight the guy, blah, blah, blah.
But that only goes so far, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
And if it was in one movie and they just kept redoing
That's fine,
it,
cool.
that's fine. But you're spreading it out now, and now it's like, oh
the
no.
it's more visible. It's more like, you got to get the thing to get the thing, but then you get the thing next time. And it's like, well, we got the thing.
Right.
I got the thing and got through the thing.
It was spread out too far that now the cheesy silliness of like, hey, I just want to go eat some popcorn is now like spread out for an extra 45 minutes. And I'm just sitting there going like I thought when he jumped off the cliff to parachute, it was going to be like to be continued. You don't get to see where he lands.
Ooh.
But then there's like another 45 minutes of the movie.
Well, they gotta like jump out of they have got to jump out of every carousel in that car, dude.
The way a story should work
train.
is like it should build and it should peak, and you're like, oh shit, and then it'll like start to go. But then it was like it kept like peaking, and then it would go down. You're like, okay, I think I should be like ready to land the plane now because the movie should be getting close to over. And then it's like peak, and you're like, whoa, okay, and then it like kind of went down. It's like there was like 3 endings to this movie, and it like wouldn't end. And I'm just like I was like breaking.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. It's like,
he climbed up like 6 train cars, and you're just like, good lord.
That took 30 minutes.
That took 15 minutes of screen time of him just climbing up trains, and I'm just like, make it stop. Like, what is going on?
Too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
Dude jumped off a mountain.
It was a very gluttonous movie.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, you're just like, okay, this is like my 15th scoop of ice cream.
But dude,
ice
like,
cream's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can't have a 15th scoop of ice cream.
I think, but comparing it to like a John Wick,
Sure.
I think I like John Wick 4 more than this.
Sure.
Because that also feels like eating 15 gallons of ice cream. But maybe there's like a salad afterwards.
Got it.
Because that feels like that just has like a different feel to it where it's like, yeah, it's a lot of just like gung fu and shooting, but it has like this just like
It's a dance.
wave. Yeah, this dance, this wave to it. And like kind of like a momentum and a lore.
There's waves.
And
yeah,
but
comes
like
and goes.
this one is like, oh, we
The
gotta
rhythm
get the
felt
second
off.
part.
Like
Yeah.
I think we weren't
Yes.
like on rhythm with it. It
Yes.
was like this chase scene's happen. It's like explosion, and the chase is still going on. Explosion, and you're like, oh man, that explosion's got to end it. And they're like, no, it's just begun. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
all right, I guess we're still going. It's like now we're getting into a different car. It's like,
Cool.
all right, it's a
This
Fiat.
one's
It's like,
tiny.
guess what? We don't know how to drive it. It's driving in circles. It's like, huh, classic. This is funny. Guess what? We're still driving in circles. I'm like, got it. And they're like, nope.
But we're going
still
downstairs.
driving in circles. Now we're driving downstairs.
But then
Like,
we got caught.
yeah.
But then there's an alleyway.
It's like, oh my gosh. Like
Yeah.
it's totally
Excessive.
fine.
Almost.
But it was very much like Tom Cruise was just given free reign to just be Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Just freaking do it, man. Just all of the things. And it was like, for the first time ever, I was like, it's okay if you don't do all of the stunts.
Sure.
Just slow it down, because you've got a very interesting villain.
Yeah.
I love all the characters you have so far, but then you introduce like a henchman for the bad guy who will become sympathetic later to tell him one thing, but really her whole purpose was to just deliver a message, but she didn't have to be in the movie.
But yeah, I enjoyed the little part though of like, oh, the AI's told me that you're gonna betray me.
Sure.
So like that comes from the AI aspect though.
Cool.
Of like,
Yeah.
oh, like the AI knows this thing. So I enjoyed that.
Sure.
I was less inclined with the American guys running around behind them,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, they're here too,
Yeah.
and they're chasing him like, Ethan, stop.
Right.
And then
yeah.
they're like,
There's
never
weird
catch
bloat
him.
to this movie. Yeah.
But then at the end, what my mind is going to with those guys is it's the whole like, oh, the U.S. government isn't on your side or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, and so like, oh, you can't trust.
But maybe
because
they're going to finally be sympathetic or
sure,
something. Yeah.
because the one guy's like, oh, I would give it to my superiors. I would
Right.
never flinch. But then the superior's on the train and betrays him. You know, like he's
Right,
doing
yeah.
the shady thing. And so like it's supposed to be like, oh, you can trust nobody and you got to destroy it. Whatever. That's the only reason they're there. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
Yeah. I mean, what's weird about this movie is you can call it a cat and mouse movie, but there's 4 cats and there's 10 mice. And some of the mice want to get the cats too.
Yeah.
And some of the mice want to run from other mice.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the cats hate the other cats. And you're just like, the hell am I watching?
Yeah.
They just didn't make it. They're like, the U.S. government's involved. But then maybe this guy is also part of the U.S. government, and he's more involved than the other guy that's involved. But that guy's involved because he's the father's daughter's friend. And you're just like, whoa, why?
Yeah.
Why did it have to, like, it was like they casted 3 more people for every team in this movie. And if they just would have not done that, would have been the cleanest. And perhaps, like, this could have been my favorite Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah.
I truly do think it could have been. Because there's just some, like, epic stunts. I love the airport stuff. There's just some, like, incredible... Dude, there was, like, 10 scenes in this movie, too, where I just looked over to Michael and I was like, dude, that's a vibe, man.
Every 10 seconds. It's
Dude.
just like Tom
It
Cruise is
just
sitting.
looked good.
Tom Cruise is sitting on a roof.
Ooh. There was a vibe, man.
Yeah.
I get it. Dude, I get it. It looked great. There were some really beautiful scenes. There was one where it's just like the team minus Haley Atwell was on the boat.
Like a boat in Venice.
And they're just going in through Venice. And you're just like, oh, it's a vibe, man.
Yeah, dude.
Sheesh. It was awesome.
Incredible.
And it was like, that was like in the trailer like a year ago when they're like, hey, we're making the movie that's going to save cinema. And I'm like, oh. And it was just them driving on that boat in Venice. I was like, oh, dude, this is going to be sick. It's just going to be like noir, like Italy, just, And then it just kind of...
Wasn't.
It was just a lot.
Yeah.
It was just a buffet. I was like, I thought I was getting Mission Impossible. And they're like, you're getting like a buffet from around the nations. And I was like, oh, I just kind of was wanting like just exclusively Mission Impossible. And they're like, no, you're getting a little bit of everything.
I don't even know if I don't know, man.
You don't have to agree with me. We
Yeah.
can have different opinions.
Oh, I don't know if we can do that.
Oh, okay. Not us.
Not us with the different opinions. Because, like, to me, it wasn't that. It was just, maybe it was just too bloated. It just didn't feel, it felt purposeless to me. It felt like we are having a 10-minute chase scene. And I did enjoy when it's like, oh, well, now that, like, French team's coming, and then the
cool.
Americans are coming, and then the Italian government's chasing. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, there's just so many different sides
It
to all
was just
this.
like 15% too much. Where it just kind of felt like it's just overindulgent.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just, if you cut out the 50%, you slap on an ending, honestly, you get like a 7.5 out of me. It's like, cool.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom. Mr. Worldwide is a step in the room. And it's like, hey.
Wait. What? Hey, yo, what?
Hey.
Hey, what? All right. I didn't know you're...
It's very late tonight.
All right.
It's a late night, Nick.
Hey, I get it.
This is what happens when you get late night, Nick.
You get Pitbull.
And midnight Mike, baby.
Midnight Mike. Okay. We can end it soon. Yikes.
Well, you made. Well, come on.
I'm just giving you crap. You said far weirder things.
Yeah. Hey, bada bing, bada boom.
Get Mr. Worldwide in the room.
Mr. Worldwide as I step in the room.
Sheesh.
That's what it is. Pitbull.
Damn.
Mr. Worldwide.
What up, Danger?
I don't know what I was talking about anymore.
Perfect. I'll land the plane. Because I don't know how we peak after that.
To me,
You liked it.
I liked
You
it.
could have liked it more.
I could have liked it more.
Could have been better.
Tell me what else I should think.
It was fine,
It was fine.
and parts of it were quite excellent.
You know, I think I'm coming to grips with I can like a movie and not rate it highly. That's hard
And
for me.
that's okay.
You know,
You need to, like,
I need to be harsher on movies.
100%.
Yeah.
Not in, like, this movie sucks, but just like,
There are better
oof,
movies than this.
I see what this could have been.
I think my rating is now like I like movies more
Yeah.
than this movie.
Yeah. And best part about it is they're going to make their money.
Mm-hmm.
This was what they felt like was the best version of the story. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't even piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
We're just here saying we like movies too. And this one didn't,
Didn't do it for us.
didn't do it completely for
Yeah.
us. But we at least took the time to go, I think if they would have done maybe a little bit of this, maybe a little bit of that, maybe cut this, maybe consider this, could have been better. You know what? We might also be full of shit. Who cares? Who cares? Because it's just fun.
Yeah.
We were entertained.
Yeah.
I was vibing, man. There were parts where I was just like,
you said
what a
to
vibe.
me multiple times. It's a vibe.
That is a vibe.
You know what's a vibe? This podcast.
Amen to that. Feels like us just in one of those, what are those, bungalows? No.
Yeah.
No. What's
Boats?
the boat
Yeah.
with the big oar that you just kind of push?
Bungalows.
No, that's like a house. I feel like bungalows.
A bungalow. Bodega.
No,
I know that
that's
was
not-
wrong. It's like
Anyway,
it's like a
pergola.
Peruga?
No, wait.
Let's
did I-
look it up.
Let's look it up.
Pergola?
Is pergola pergola?
The Venice boats. Look at the Venice boats.
Venice boat.
Peruga?
Come on. A gondola. I'm an idiot. What's a pergola? I'm an idiot.
You got the end of it.
Oh boy, watch us find out what a pergola is. It's probably like an outhouse.
It's probably like a curse word in a different language.
What's a pergola?
I don't think it's anything.
Oh, it's patio furniture.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. It's that thing you put out on your
I can't see that.
porch that's like got a roof, but it's not really a roof.
Like a gun? No, like a
No,
a gazebo?
No, a gazebo is like the one that has like kind of like a chapel look to it.
Give me your phone.
Hold on. Pergola is like this. Hold on, I'm on Home Depot. Give me a sec.
Yeah, I should do. I'm surprised it's not one of your favorites.
Can I just click on this picture, please? Thank you.
Oh,
That's
it's kind
a
of like an arch,
pergola.
like an arch thing. Like
Yeah.
it's not like
Nah.
fully has sides.
It's just like protection.
it's like
but
wood, but higher up.
do not buy it from Home Depot. That's expensive.
How much is
as
it?
Shit. That's $1,400.
Dude, I can make that for $2.
Home Depot's a sham, and this movie was pretty okay.
Yeah,
But you know what? Tom Cruise still vibing.
I think I'm Tom cruising to the cinema next time this movie.
Yes.
Next. Yeah.
We were entertained. I had an entire Coke spill on my right foot.
That's right.
That was pretty fun. No one apologized. I'm okay. I'm not bitter about it. It's totally fine.
What do you do in that?
They were kids. I just let
Their
them
mom
enjoy
was
the
with
rest of the
them.
movie. It's fine. A little sticky. I thought I got all of it. I didn't. It was kind of sticky in my bed.
Yeah.
Kind of gross. Kind of gross. What else can I say? It was a memorable experience.
Don't
worry about it.
They spilled like a gallon of Coke.
Hold on. Hold on.
That's a lot of Coke.
It was a lot, but I was wearing flippy floppies, and
Did your feet stick?
my feet did not stick.
Oh. So it didn't get on your foot, it just got on your sandal?
No, it got higher up on my leg than I expected.
Oh.
So like some of my hairs were kind of like sticky.
Nice.
Kind of got nasty.
Yeah.
Anyway, memorable movie. We would probably not recommend it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Let us go see the second one in a year, and we'll give you our thoughts.
What do you think's going to stick with you more, that Coca-Cola or this movie?
I think this movie will stick with me longer because of the Coca-Cola.
Whoa.
How do you think about that?
You heard it here first.
Yeah. So, you know what? I think you might have heard about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning
You
Part
might have
1.
had Coca-Cola spilled on
Sorry.
you.
Mission Impossible 7 Dead Reckoning Part 1, should you choose to accept it. But now you've heard from us. Not us United.
That's right.
How about that for an episode,
That's
everybody?
pretty good.
You're welcome.
I would say that's the best episode we've had about Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
And I'm really happy that you're growing in your comfort of saying movies can be less than 7.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good job.
Yeah.
All right, good night.
You've just listened to Not Us United. You can find us under Not Us United on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please leave us a review and consider subscribing to our podcast. You can reach out for future podcast topic suggestions at notusunitedpod@gmail.com.